Michael Jackson. The name alone conjures a kaleidoscope of images: moonwalks, glittering gloves, groundbreaking music videos, and stadiums packed with screaming fans. But for all the spectacle and genius, there's one aspect of Jackson's life that remains shrouded in rumor, skepticism, and misunderstanding: the dramatic change in his skin color. It's a topic often whispered about, joked over, or theorized upon without nuance. Yet behind the media circus is a real story, one of illness, identity, and the crushing weight of public expectation. Let's go back to the beginning. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana. He was the seventh of 9 children in an African-American working-class family. His father, Joe Jackson, was famously strict and demanding, molding his sons into a musical group, the Jackson 5, that would take the world by storm. Michael, even as a child, stood out. His voice was magnetic, and his charisma was undeniable. But with fame came immense pressure. Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, as Michael blossomed into a solo artist, his appearance was consistent with his heritage. He had a medium brown skin tone, Afro-textured hair, and African-American facial features. But by the time his landmark album Bad was released in 1987, the public began to notice something different. His skin had lightened significantly. The change sparked wild speculation. Some accused him of deliberately bleaching his skin to appear white. Others suggested he was ashamed of his race or attempting to transform into something other. These rumors gained momentum, and Jackson became the subject of mockery and conspiracy theories. But the truth, something often overlooked in the noise, is that Michael Jackson had vitiligo, a chronic autoimmune disease that causes the skin to lose its pigment in patches. This condition can be unpredictable and psychologically taxing, especially for people with darker skin, as the contrast is stark and difficult to conceal. Jackson first began showing signs of vitiligo in the early 1980s, according to his autopsy report and corroborated by his dermatologist, Dr. Arnold Klein. Over time, the patches spread, especially on his face, hands, and neck, areas constantly under the glare of cameras and stage lights. Initially, Jackson used dark makeup to cover the lighter patches. But as the condition progressed, he reversed that approach, using lighter makeup to even out his skin tone. This decision was less about aesthetics and more about consistency, because walking into public looking blotchy or discolored would invite cruel commentary in a media culture that showed little mercy. In a 1993 interview with Oprah Winfrey, a rare and revealing moment, Jackson addressed the rumors directly.
I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help.
Is your skin lighter because you don't like being black?
I'm a black American. I'm proud to be a black American. I am proud of my race. I am proud of who I am. I have a lot of pride in who I am and dignity. When people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me. And using makeup evens it out because it makes blotches on the skin, and I have to even out my skin. It's a problem for me, okay? I can't control it.
I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin, he said. It's something I cannot help. When people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me. It's hard to overstate the courage it took for Jackson to open up about vitiligo at a time when very little was known about the condition. Awareness was low, compassion was even lower. Even today, people with vitiligo face social stigmas, but in the 80s and 90s, it was virtually invisible in public discourse. To complicate things further, Jackson also had discoid lupus erythematosus, a chronic autoimmune disease that affects the skin, causing scarring, lesions, and increased sensitivity to sunlight. This condition, too, contributed to the physical changes in his appearance and likely affected his decisions around makeup, wardrobe, and public presence. His choice to undergo depigmentation treatment, a medical process to remove the remaining pigment in his skin and create an even tone, was not cosmetic vanity. It was a practical response to the progression of vitiligo. When the dark patches became minimal and the lighter patches dominant, evening out his skin tone was a way of taking back control over his image, which was constantly under assault. Of course, the vitiligo story alone doesn't explain all of Jackson's physical transformation. Over the years, he underwent multiple facial surgeries. He admitted to having at least 2 rhinoplasties, nose surgeries, though experts believe the number may be higher. He also appears to have had chin augmentation, and possibly other cosmetic adjustments. These changes were likely driven by a combination of body dysmorphia, childhood trauma, and the extreme pressures of fame. Michael often spoke about the emotional scars left by his father's harsh criticism, particularly over his nose and appearance. It's not hard to imagine how such wounds could deepen in an industry that prizes looks and novelty. For Jackson, his face was not just a face, it was a brand, a symbol, a screen on which the world projected fantasies and fears. The question of race also looms large in these discussions. Some critics have framed Jackson's physical transformation as a rejection of his black identity. But such interpretations ignore the evidence of his life. Jackson was deeply connected to his heritage. He championed black artists, spoke against racism, and infused his music with messages of unity and resistance. Songs like They Don't Care About Us, Black or White, and Man in the Mirror show a man deeply engaged with the world's injustices. His philanthropic efforts supported causes from HIV/AIDS to inner-city education. He was not running from his roots. He was trying to rise above them and bring others along. So why, despite the facts, do so many still cling to the myth of Michael Jackson wanting to be white? Because the truth is uncomfortable. It's easier to laugh at a meme or speculate about skin bleaching than to confront how society mistreats those who are visibly different. Jackson's case is a mirror, not just of his skin, but of our own collective discomfort with illness, fame, race, and identity. We watched a man struggle under unbearable pressure, and instead of offering understanding, we demanded answers that fit our narrative. The media certainly played its role. Tabloid journalism in the 1990s was ruthless. Jackson became a permanent fixture of sensationalist headlines, most of which ignored nuance in favor of shock. Any change in his appearance, behavior, or lifestyle was treated as evidence of eccentricity at best and madness at worst. Rarely did these outlets pause to ask why he was changing or what pain lay behind the image. As time passed, Jackson became more reclusive, and the mystery around him only deepened. When he passed away in 2009, autopsy reports finally confirmed what he had long claimed. Michael Jackson had vitiligo, lupus, and the physical scars of years of treatment. In death, some of the noise quieted, but the myths persisted. Today, there are celebrities like model Winnie Harlow who have brought vitiligo into the public eye, helping to reduce stigma and increase awareness. But we must not forget who bore the brunt of ignorance and cruelty in the spotlight. Michael Jackson did, decades earlier, without the support or understanding we now extend more freely. In the end, Jackson's story is one of extraordinary talent shadowed by extraordinary burden. He was a man of contradictions, public yet private, powerful yet fragile, adored yet often misunderstood. His transformation was not the act of someone trying to become something else. It was the act of someone trying to survive. As we reflect on the true story behind Michael Jackson's skin color change, let us do so with empathy, not sensationalism. Let us recognize that beneath the changing complexion was a human being, a man facing diseases, pressures, and pains that most of us can scarcely imagine. And perhaps, in listening to his truth, finally, fully, we can begin to treat those who live in the public eye and those living with visible differences with the respect and dignity they deserve.